Hi everybody, this is Holly from Hot Humble Pie. Welcome to my channel if you're new, and a big warm hello to my subscribers. I love you guys. Well, today I am bringing you 15 $1 and under beautiful Valentine DIYs. And as always, I hope you enjoy the show. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, I'd love it if you click that button. For today's craft, you're going to need two Dollar Tree signs that are rectangle or some spare wood like I have here. This wood was free for me because I live by a Home Depot that gets piles and piles of scrap wood that they, I think, try to sell at a discount, and there's just too much of it, so they start telling people to take it. So I guess I'm really lucky. A lot of Home Depots have this, so if you live by a Home Depot, check that out and see. Lowe's does this as well. In fact, Lowe's where I live is just as helpful, trying to, give me free wood. So make sure you ask, because they're going to throw it out. So it's better that it's used than thrown out. Here's some heart prints I got from the Microsoft Clip Art site. And then the striped one there is from some Amazon aged paper packet that I purchased. I love it. You're going to see me using it in a lot of DIYs. I will leave the link down below for both. And now I'm just using a glue stick, and I'm going to apply these hearts down. Now, I mentioned this before in my previous video. If you want your imagery to stick down with the least amount of wrinkling, you want to use the driest glue possible. And if you want to be really aggressive about it, if you're someone that really likes smooth images and you don't want the lumps and bumps, I like those sometimes, because then I take my sander and I sand that off, and it creates little holes that look like worn off paint. And I like the wrinkling because that's what paint does. It kind of bubbles and lifts and wrinkles when a sign is old and it's been outside. But sometimes that's not always appropriate, and you want your imagery to be flat. So glue stick is the best way to go. And after that, you mist your project with a clear varnish or a polyacrylic clear spray, either one, just a clear one, and then you mist it. Let it dry, mist it again, and then you can leave it as is. That's good enough. Or you can go on to put a Mod Podge on top if you want, like a plastic layer on top of it, if it's going to be, maybe it's a tray and it's going to have high use, that kind of thing. But this is how you successfully can put down images without any wrinkling whatsoever. Now I'm taking the burnt umber, and I'm just using a sponge and going around these hearts to kind of add a little shadow and a little border on them. I'm not looking for a super ink stained look on these. I'm just looking to give it a little border. And I know people have mentioned ink before. I do know about ink, but I find that I'm just as happy with paint or wax or my water acrylic stain that I use. That for me works fine. If you have ink, you could use ink. That does give another look. It's a little softer, I think. Sometimes it kind of smears, but I use my finger a lot, so when I smear with the ink, it's hard to get off my finger, which is why I shy away from the ink a little bit. Now I'm taking some black paint, and I'm just going around the edges here and adding a little bit of that old distressed look. I also just dry brushed over the top of the hearts a little bit there. You can see it, but I think this is less is more, and it's perfect for farmhouse rustic decor. I love this. For this craft, I'm using 3 salad dressing jars that I have saved for crafting. I recommend you do save your jars and cans for crafting. They come in really handy, and I do use them on my channel quite a bit. I took them outside and I sprayed them with white primer and then brought them back in, and now I'm using a sponge and just haphazardly painting on little stripes. Now I want them to be uneven and streaky because that's the look of my home. It's very rustic. primitive. It wouldn't, if I taped it off and did perfect stripes, it wouldn't really go with my decor. If you guys want to do that, you can do whatever makes you happy. You can use whatever color you want. This is also a nice look for French country or shabby chic. And after it dries, I go ahead and I apply a little bit of this Dollar Tree ribbon. I love this Dollar Tree ribbon. It's a lace ribbon. I have, I think, 5 spools of this. I absolutely love this stuff. And I'm just going to apply it on the top of this jar. Now, since I had some of these hearts left over from the little truck I just did, I decided to stick these on the front of these jars. If you don't have these stickers, you can go ahead and paint a heart on and make it look just like this. You can also Mod Podge something on or print something up off of your computer, but I thought that just added a really cute little touch. You can also leave them plain too, but this decor piece, if your decor is in pink, can also be left up all year round. I'm just going to add some pretty flowers in there, and I think this is going to be so pretty for Valentine's Day. For this craft, you're going to need some large craft sticks and some small craft sticks and a printable in your choice. Now, I made this one, and it is going to be down below in my description box as a free printable. You just click that link, it will take you to it. So you can use this one too if you want. I saw these 2 things at Hobby Lobby online, and I thought they were so cute, but I didn't want, I liked both of them, but I didn't want to do them individually. I wanted to combine them, so that's what I'm going to attempt to do with this DIY. Now, I'm tracing the shape of a point here because I want that arrow shape, and I'm also showing you, I don't know if you can see it, how I'm cutting I'm taking little snippets. I'm moving the scissors really quick. Someone asked me, how do you cut your craft sticks without them splintering? I usually take my scissors and snip really quick, like I don't know if the sound effects help, but it helps so that your stick doesn't crack. If you just do one big long squeeze, you're going to increase the likeliness of your stick cracking. So sometimes they crack if they have a definite fault line, but for the most part I have really good luck doing it that way. So after I get my arrow shape, I'm just using the smaller craft stick here, and I'm going to go about gluing this together. And this is what it should look like when you're all done. Now, you can use wood glue if you want. I found it was very sturdy. But the next step we're going to do is dry brush some white paint on. Now, I like to put my white paint on again in a way that leaves a lot of wood showing, especially at the ends and the edges. That's the goal. If you don't like that look, you can paint it solid. If you're into the rustic distress look, try to leave the ends and the edges, with the wood showing. Now here, I'm going to attempt to glue this paper down and make it disappear so it looks like it's a painted image on here instead of paper. So I'm hoping when I do my dry brushing with a darker color, the lines from that paper will look like just one of the streaks of the paint. So you'll have to let me know down below in the comments whether I succeeded or not, but that's what I was trying to do here. And I'm choosing the glue stick again because, I'm finding it's working really, really well for putting the paper down nice and smooth without any bumps. I'm going to take this drill now and put some holes in at the top. Nice and easy and slow. You'll notice me putting it in reverse there. really careful with craft sticks because they do have a tendency to crack and splinter, and you don't want to damage them. So it was all the way out except for the tip there, and I just gently pulled it out. And now I'm going to hang mine with wire. Now I love the curly cube, like little wire hangers. That wasn't what it was on the picture from Hobby Lobby, but I want to do the curly wire. I think that looks really, really excellent. And now I'm taking a little bit of the Territorial Beige by Apple Barrel, and I'm going to do my dry brushing here and hope that I make this paper disappear. And now I'm just going to use the color black to distress the edges. You can use whatever color you like. I just love black. I think it gives it a lot of definition and a lot of authentic, aging, I guess. I've actually made this little sign to hang on my ladder downstairs in my living room. I love to decorate my ladder just a little bit. There's blankets hanging on it sometimes, and sometimes I use it to hang extra decor. I think they're great for that, for seasonal decor. I don't hang really heavy things on it because I don't want it to tilt over, but I love to add little accents now and then. And this is it. We're all done. For this craft, you're going to need a heart-shaped box and some paper of your choice. Now, this is that antique paper. Again, it's going to be down below in my description box. I got it off of Amazon. I love this. It's like a whole huge package of aged paper with all different designs, so I can't wait to use it in different DIYs. I think it's so cute. You can also look for something like this online and print it up. You don't have to buy that package. But we start out by cutting out a heart to fit inside this box. Now, if you have a plain window box, you can make this craft as well. They do sell these little chocolate box shapes and hearts at the 99-cent only store and at the Dollar Tree. So I took that white primer again, painted it white. Now I'm using some of the sisal rope, and I'm just burning off the little fraying edges on the sisal rope. I love sisal rope. It's natural. It smells like hay. I think it's great for farmhouse decor, and it has those little like pricky hairs sticking here and there, just like the twine does from the Dollar Tree. So I just wanted to burn that off before I put it in the paper box for obvious reasons. I didn't want to torch my heart. And then I glue it in around the edges, as you see there. Now I'm just applying some of the antique wax all over to make it look like a faux wood. And in case you missed it, I did take a permanent black marker and go around the edges there just to make sure that they looked old. And little fine details like that, it makes things look expensive. I didn't want any of the white box showing or the red box showing or anything showing. And I do take the wax here and stain up the paper a little bit and make it look old and distressed. And now I decide I want ribbon. It would have been better if I had decided I wanted ribbon before I glued the sisal rope down, but that wasn't the case. It worked out fine. I got a nice tight fit, but definitely if you want to do this DIY, please do the ribbon before you do any kind of twine or, edging around the edge there. Also, I want to mention that when I burn the little fraying hairs off of the twine, it leaves a little brown mark behind, which I was actually after because it looks like it's inked up or kind of waxed up or stained up a little bit. It's all part of making it look old and vintage. And the twine from the Dollar Tree does the same thing, the nautical rope. If you're using the white nautical rope, you don't need to do it. But if you're using the other nautical rope, you might need to burn it a little bit. Well, not burn it. Take a flame over it a little bit, float it over it to get rid of some extra little hairs there that you don't want. And the little marks that are left behind, if you're doing rustic or primitive decor, is actually desirable. So don't worry about that. It looks great when you're all done. And now I'm just taking my drill. I'm going to be just making some of the little garnishes I'm going to add to this to make it look nice and cute, just drilling some holes in there. I have a heart left over from the truck craft still, and we are edging everything with permanent marker and using permanent marker to cover up any areas that are showing that are pink or too bright for this craft. Now, because this is cardboard, I get away with using a tack to put little holes through it. If it was wood or something thicker, you're probably going to need to drill again, but I got really lucky with that. I just used a tack and it worked just fine. And again, I'm going for the curly cube hanger. I love that. I'm just going to tie it through, and what I end up doing to make like a cork on the other side, I don't know if that's the right word for it, but just so it doesn't come out, I take and I wrap up tighter curly cubes. You're going to see me do it here, so that that stops it from going through the hole again backwards. For the tinier things I want to hang off of this, I end up using a skewer stick to wrap the wire around, because obviously you want that to be really small and dainty so that it looks cute and it goes with the rest of the little daintiness of the heart and the little tag. Last but not least, I decide to add a little floral at the top to make this look nice and romantic, and I absolutely love the way that this came out. For this DIY, you're going to need some lace doilies from the Dollar Tree, some embellishment of your choosing, some cloth or ribbon of your choosing, and now we're going to take 2 of the doilies and glue them together. Now, I did this because they were a little bit thin and I was worried about them tearing. You don't have to do this if you're short on them, but you'd have to be super, super careful. I don't know because I didn't try it, but I have a feeling if you use a single layer, you're not going to be pleased with the look of it. I think it might wrinkle up and look, you know, I'm trying to make it look more like a cloth of lace rather than paper. So I think if you use the single layer, you're going to end up having it look too much like paper. That's just a guess though, you could try it. So I'm taking some polyfiber fill and I'm just putting a little tiny thin amount in the middle there. And now I'm going to glue those doilies together. Now remember, they're double-sided, so they're extra thick. And that's it. You're just gluing it around and you're being really gentle so that you don't crease any of the paper here. You definitely want to try and keep it smooth. Now this is some cloth that I have used in previous videos to make pillows. I have used it to stuff little garland for little pumpkins and little jack-o'-lanterns. So it was the top of a king-size bed skirt. You know, the top part, I cut off the ruffle and just took the top part because it looks very much like a drop cloth, and it also shreds and frays really easy. So if you're going for that rustic old look, it's perfect for that. So if you ever find any of those in a thrift store, snatch them up. And now I'm taking some of the Dollar Tree mop yarn. These pull apart in 4 different strands. I love mops, you guys. And I'm just making a really pretty bow with this. First thing I do is tie the Dollar Tree lace ribbon together with those mop threads, and then I put the frayed cloth bow on top of it, and it just makes an absolutely beautiful embellishment. Well, I think so. If you're into rustic, this is, well, you know, actually, if this is shabby chic, this is also French country. If you're into any of that look, this just looks really, really beautiful. And what you see me doing here now is taking 2 of the mop threads. Now, you don't tear these apart. They are left intact and full, and I'm making a top knot at the top because we're going to be gluing these hearts, kind of angling them at different angles a little bit down these threads here, and that will be what holds them as a cascading, beautiful hanging wall piece. You know, I'm going to end up putting these on one of my old windows. I snagged up a picture at the thrift store for about $5. It was perfect to convert into a window, and I went and bought some thin pieces of wood at Lowe's and glued them on and made a faux old white window that I love that look. And this is going to be a perfect decor piece hanging down that window. Check out how beautiful these came out. And for this craft, you're going to need a coffee can or a can in your choosing. It can be any can. It doesn't have to be a coffee can. Any can will work. So if you have an extra large can for another food product, that would be fine. And this is the decaf coffee from Walmart, in case some of you are wondering if you like coffee. You can look for coffee that comes in the coffee cans. They are fantastic for crafting, and I'm just applying a little bit more of the Kills primer. Now, a lot of you requested that I make one of these little tea holder cans because I keep my tea in these on my kitchen counter for every season, and so that's what we're doing today. This is going to be able to be kept up all year round. It's for Valentine's Day, but it's one that when the seasons are over, like summertime, it's going to be perfect to keep on your kitchen counter and look very rustic, cute, and farmhouse still because it's neutral. And you saw a printout there that I made. That's going to be a free printable down below in my description box. And for you coffee lovers, I did not forget you. I also made one that says coffee and me as well. So after I did the primer and it dried, I go ahead and apply some apple barrel paint in the color khaki on those lines there. I just took advantage of the lines on the can. Now I'm artificially adding a faux line at the top here because I want the white line at the top not to be so wide. So I just go ahead and add it in there, and I'm just using a tissue. For applying the paint, I'm kind of applying it more like a stain, so I'm putting it on and wiping it off so I get a nice streaky look, and I love that. It works really, really good for that look. Now here I'm making my lid. It's a super easy, fun lid to make. You're just using cardboard and tracing out the lid that came with your can. Now if you did not have a lid that came with your can, just turn your can upside down and trace the top. That will work out just fine. And I'm using 4 layers of cardboard. Now I've made this lid 2 different ways. This is the preferred way. Well, this is what I recommend that you do. It's just use layers of cardboard. It's nice and sturdy, and if you put 4 or 5 or however tall you want your lid to be, it ends up being heavy enough, especially after you apply the joint compound there. You can also use spackling. You might want to water your spackling down just a little bit to make it a bit more spreadable, but it weighs it down when it dries and it makes it heavy, so that works great. And in other countries, I've been told that's called polyfilla, and I'm sorry, I don't know what it's called in every single country, but it's what you use to fill in nail holes in your wall. It's an all-purpose filler, and that's what I'm using in this craft here, in case you're wondering. This is the water-based acrylic stain that I spoke about earlier in the video. There's a link for it down below in my description box. It's really slippery and easy to work with. It makes a beautiful wood grain. I'm using a wire brush to apply the final layer there just so that you get that wood grain look. And then I chose to use a wine cork for the lid here. I just stained that too, using a little bit of super glue now to apply it. And now I'm cutting out my free printable. Now, I'm Mod Podging this label on, and a lot of you asked me how I managed to get it down in the grooves with no wrinkles. I use a wet sponge and I keep pressing, but the most important thing is that once you get glue on any part of the sponge, you have to move to a clean part or you will accidentally lift your paper up and tear it. So I was frequently stopping and rinsing my sponge out and then going back and doing it again. So it always has to be a fresh, clean sponge when you're pressing. You're going to see me do it in a minute here so you'll have a visual, but that's really important. Also, when you're gluing your labels down with Mod Podge and you're gluing on uneven surfaces, I brush the Mod Podge in the opposite direction. You can see me do it there to shove that Mod Podge under the edges to get a nice, clean, wet. You know, you really want to make sure you have enough Mod Podge there in the grooves. And a lot of times when you paint it on, you put your label down, there isn't enough swimming up underneath there, so you want to just brush a little backwards and push it under there. You're kind of forcefully getting more Mod Podge under there so that you can get nice clean edges. And you saw me pressing there with a sponge. Remember to rinse your sponge. And now I'm going to add some of the Dollar Tree ribbon on top of this lid so that it ties in the rest of my decor. And it came out so cute, you guys. I can't wait to put this on my kitchen counter. For this craft, you're going to need a heart shape, some cardboard, some wooden shims or painter sticks, and some craft sticks. Now, I'm using some antique music paper, and I'm going to leave that below in my description box as a free printable in case you want to use this too. You don't have to. I just thought that looks really cute for Valentine's Day. And I'm tracing out the little hearts so that we're going to have 3 here. And if you have the wooden hearts from the Dollar Tree, feel free to use those and cover them with paper. You don't have to use cardboard. It's just I always look to save some money when I can, and also to encourage my international viewers as well, so that if they don't have a Dollar Tree, they don't feel left out. You can do it either way. I knew my craft was going to be completely covered, and it just didn't make sense to me to waste the wood hearts in case I need it for a craft where I want the hearts to look like wood. So I'm just using cardboard. Now, here's the trick when you're gluing stuff down on cardboard. It's actually a trick anytime you're gluing paper down. If you find yourself struggling with your paper wrinkling, you want to go ahead and use the driest glue possible, because what's making your paper wrinkle is the wetness. Whenever we wet paper, it wants to shrink, and then that causes a whole slew of problems to follow. So just use a glue stick and you shouldn't have any problem there. Mine came up perfectly smooth. And now I'm taking and gluing the little shims together. So you can see that I've had to cut up some of the craft stick shorter there and put it underneath. This is because I want my front side to be level. So if you're working with shims, you're going to have them where they're kind of at that graduated angle. So that can create a problem for you on the other side with a level surface. Definitely paint sticks would work better as far as being flat. You can even use large craft sticks, the jumbo craft sticks if you want, in a pinch or just a piece of wood or a Dollar Tree sign for this craft. You don't have to use the paint sticks. I just wanted mine to look like a palette. And now I'm taking some of the Walmart twine. I'm going to edge these, you know, to cover the cardboard, but I think I would have edged them anyway with the wood. That's why I didn't bother with the wood hearts. I just wanted that look. And I'm cleaning it up a little bit with a lighter because that little bit of twine from Walmart is really, really nice, but it's very hairy and furry, so I have to make sure that we don't get a little over the top with the fur there. I clean it up with a lighter. Just be careful, obviously, because we're working with paper there. You want to move really quick and do that and get ready to blow hard. So this is the Dollar Tree twine. It's a little thinner and it looks a little bit more delicate and pretty, I think, for this part of the craft. And I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it like you see me doing there. Sorry, I'm out of camera view a little bit. You'll see what I did in just a minute. I just glued the back and I'm wrapping it around at an angle across the heart. For the center heart, I'm going to go with a less is more approach here and just do a simple bow of lace and twine in the middle. Now, you're going to see me use the wax again on some of the Dollar Tree foam hearts, and I want to say ahead of time, here they are. If you don't have foam hearts, you can probably get away with cutting out more cardboard hearts or maybe a poster board heart, and then painting it white and then putting the wax over it to get the faux wood grain. I'm pretty sure that would work because it's so small. It would just look a little rustic from the bumps of the cardboard. I don't think you would have to worry about it. If you want it to look more expensive, you're going to want to apply, you know, if you use cardboard, you're going to want to apply more of the joint compound on that. And I'm just giving options out there for people who don't have access to these foam hearts from the Dollar Tree. I just used the white ones, painted a little bit of that wax on it to make it look like a faux wood grain, and now I'm going to go ahead and make another twine bow. I'm using 3 fingers there and just wrapping it around, and that's what we end up with, cleaning it up a little bit. And there's the wrap that I did earlier that I said you would see. That's how it came out, and I'm going to glue that at the bottom end of it. And I'm going to glue that faux wood heart down in the center. Now, if you really want to get into it, you can refer to my video on how to make faux wood beads. You can make any shape with that, and that comes out looking like pine. It's wonderful, and it looks perfect for rustic crafts. You can also use a button, a sliced wine cork. Let your imagination soar, whatever you want to do. Just have fun with it. For the base, I'm using some of the wood my wonderful subscribers sent me of a corn crate. If you don't have that, you can use some of the towering blocks from the Dollar Tree or any kind of scrap wood and just glue it down with some hot glue and make it a stand, and that's what you end up with. Let me know what you think, you guys. I think this came up so cute. For this next DIY, you're going to need some cardboard, of course, and a tray from the Dollar Tree or anywhere you'd like to get it, and some cardboard hearts or a pattern for a cardboard heart. I start off by giving this 1 coat of my homemade chalk paint. You can find that video down below in my description box if you'd like to check it out. I have part 1 and part 2, so lots of choices on how to make your chalk paint, and I think it works as good or better than the one you buy. It's a lot of fun to make and you save a lot of money. So now I cut out 3 hearts, and I purposely have been saving this cardboard, I kid you not, since my Christmas deliveries, because this cardboard had that like serrated look, kind of like galvanized metal, that bumpy look. For my crafts for this video, I did want that look because when I was in Hobby Lobby the other day checking out some of the Valentine Day Decor, I noticed that the metal ones had that same look just like cardboard. And I thought, oh, I could get that look with cardboard. I just have to make sure I pay attention when I get those pieces that have the little lines and bumps on. So I start off painting those hearts with the white chalk paint, and then I use a Dollar Tree doily, but I'm only using parts of it just to add some texture and design to the front of the hearts. Now I'm measuring out some craft sticks, and we're going to go ahead and fill in the center of that tray with the craft sticks. If you use medium-sized craft sticks, you will have to cut a little tiny piece to fit in at the bottom. If you're using a Dollar Tree tray, one of these trays, we don't get quite a perfect fit with them side by side, but it comes out really nice anyway. And now I'm using a baby wipe and some of the burnt umber paint by Apple Barrel, and just using it as a stain to stain that wood, and also to antique these hearts. Now my goal here is to bring out the designs of the lace so you can kind of see it. So I put a little bit of paint on top and then use the wet baby wipe to rub it off. And then I'm going to lightly use the baby wipe also to brush over those lines to make sure we bring out those serrated lines. And of course, now I'm taking the same burnt umber and just going around the edges of the tray. Next, I use this Dollar Tree ribbon and I carefully cut it down the center to make it a lot thinner because I'm going to be using it to cover the edges of these hearts. I made a bow out of this soft velvet pink ribbon that I found on clearance at Walmart. It was 75% off. It was a Christmas ribbon. I got it for about 78 cents. And I'm going to glue the Dollar Tree lace bow on top of it. Lastly, I glue all three of these hearts on top of the tray. And I think this piece would be really pretty as an end piece on a mantle, or even a centerpiece, or on a shelf in a corner. Or you could put a hanger on the back of it and use it on the wall, but I think it came up so pretty. I'm using a Dollar Tree scarf for this. You can use anything you want. And I'm going to take this piece of cardboard and cut it to this shape right here. Next, I will be cutting this Dollar Tree scarf down the middle, and I'm going to be wrapping it around the cardboard. Now, as I wrap, I'm going to be really careful to tuck in any of the seams that are fraying or unfinished. I kind of just tuck them under and like hem them and then pull it tight enough to hold it down, and it works perfect. And this is what we have so far. Now that's a little bit bright for my decor. I wanted to soften it up and veil it a little bit. And it occurred to me that I found some tulle on my last shop with me video. Again, if you watch the video, I found both this scarf and the tulle at that Dollar Tree by the beach. And I decided the tulle would be a perfect veiling piece to soften up the pink and make it look softer. So I go ahead and wrap the whole heart up with tulle. And now I'm making a messy bow out of different ribbons. If you want to see how to make a messy bow, check out my video on 10 bow hacks. It goes over every single bow I make in every video in detail so you can make them fast and easy, and I give you nice tips and tricks along the way. And I just take that messy bow, glue it up in the left-hand corner, and I'm using these little foam hearts. They're so cute. I found them at Walmart, and they were only, I think, $1, even though they're not on sale. They were only $1. And I just thought they kind of changed it up a little bit from the Dollar Tree stuff. And then I take some of my white chalk paint and cover these hearts up just to soften them because they're a little bit brighter than the look I'm going for this year. I kind of like my Valentine Day decor to be soft. And then I'm using the burnt umber to antique and distress them and make them look older. I glue one heart in the center of my bow. And now I'm going to take the Dollar Tree twine and glue it on each one of these hearts. Now this is actually the nautical rope just pulled apart into many, many pieces because the thin twine has been sold out at my Dollar Trees for a while. So just so you know, you can do that with the nautical rope. It comes apart really, really down to like small thin threads. So that's kind of a neat thing. And I want these to look like they're hanging from the heart. Now, because they're foam, they're too light. So in order to hold them in place, I'm just going to use a dot of hot glue to glue them on the side of the heart. Using some of the black ribbon, I go ahead and glue it on the back for a hanger. I love pink and black together. I think that looks awesome. And I decide that my messy bow is a little bit too big, so I'm just trimming it down. And I also decide that the hearts need a little something in the middle, so I add some of the Dollar Tree pearls. And that's it. We're all done. So this one I had a lot of fun with. I cut all of these hearts out. I'm using some Dollar Tree wrapping paper, some Dollar Tree doilies, some of the fabric, and some of these printables I found online. Again, everything will be down below in my description box. They are free printables. So for this, I am using the glue stick from the Dollar Tree. You can use any glue stick you want, but I am working with wrapping paper, and wrapping paper does have a tendency to crinkle a lot. So you really want to go with your driest choice of glue to avoid any kind of buckling or wrinkling in your final results. So I'm just pressing it down now, and I'm also going to press sideways to make sure those little serrated lines show, because this is actually kind of a dupe that I saw in Hobby Lobby that was metal, but it was flowered. It was like printed metal that had prints on it, and I thought it was so pretty, and they had it out for Valentine's Day, and I thought, you know, I could make something similar and I could do it with this cardboard. So now we're just cutting around the edges here. We're going to do those little slits, and we're going to cover the edge of the cardboard. And this is what it looks like when you're all done. You should see those lines nicely. Now I found this wrapping paper, both rolls, in the wedding section of the Dollar Tree, and they're just, I thought, perfect for love and romance and soft Valentine's Day decor. And the other prints I just printed up on my printer using regular old printer paper. And of course, here comes the doily. Now for this one, you don't need to cover the cardboard at all. It looks like wood underneath, and it provides perfect dimension so that you can actually see the lace design really pretty. And I'm going to cover all of the hearts, and then I'm going to go ahead and situate them and hot glue them down in the position that I want. I'm kind of making like a heart collage, I guess. And now I'm adding some ribbon, and you know, it's lace ribbon, and then a nice bow that I saved for this craft. I actually made that bow in my bow video, my bow hack video, and I wanted to save it for the Valentine's Day craft. And I'm adding some nice little Dollar Tree flowers. And then lastly, I decide that my lace doily heart is a little bit too plain in the center. I mean, you can leave it if you want to, but I just felt like, why not? Just add a little bit more texture, a little bit more design. So we're doing the trick again with the felt heart, and we're doing it with fabric this time. And we're going to cut it out and put it on the middle of the lace doily. Ross is a great place to find stuff on clearance when you go there. This was the same price as the Dollar Tree, but twice as long as the pieces that they sell. So I just broke off the words, cut it in half, and it made a perfect stand for this craft. And I'm just using a little bit of hot glue to hold the front in place. Now, I don't have any towering blocks at any of my Dollar Trees. They are sold out and I can't find them, so I might end up ordering those online. But in the meantime, I cut a bunch of craft sticks and glued them together so that they would work the same way for the same purpose. I just want to give a little bit of a brace in the back of this project so it holds it up. Added some of those velvet bows and we're all done. For this DIY, you'll just need pretty much cardboard, and I used some fabric and some leftover doilies and just stuff that I had. It's pretty much up to you how you want to garnish this, but this is my big challenge DIY. I really wanted to put myself up to the challenge to make the DIY completely out of cardboard and make a high-end, nice, classy, expensive looking DIY like craft. I didn't want it to look cheap. So for those of you that have been following my channel, I did something similar when I showed you how to make a faux farmhouse wood sign about 2 years ago. Yeah, it was about 2 years ago now. And we're doing kind of the same principle here, but we're doing a window. Now I'm going to cut out 2 of those because what I do next is a wetter process and you don't want your cardboard to buckle. Now preferably you should do 3, especially if you're going to do like a big window or a big frame, that kind of thing. And you glue them together, and you know this is what creates a little bit of a brace for your cardboard. You can also put paint sticks on the back of the DIY to stop it from buckling as well. You just need some kind of brace on the back of your cardboard so that when you apply the next step, it doesn't curl or buckle. So here's the Dollar Tree lightweight spackling, which I tried to work with initially, and I've never really worked with lightweight spackling. I didn't realize that it's really kind of fluffy and almost crumbly. So I was panicking a little bit, and as you can see, I decided to remove it. And the way I counter this is I add some of the chalk paint in there. You can add any paint. You can add latex paint, just any paint. I even added a little bit of water too, but this makes it behave more like the spackling I'm used to, or joint compound. In other countries, you might call it polyfilla or a multi-purpose filler. It's meant to fill nail holes. That's what we're covering this cardboard with, and we're doing it in a way that you will literally not be able to tell it's cardboard at all. It will have texture. The top of the cardboard along the edges will be covered. Everything will be covered. You'll see me doing it right here. It's really quite amazing, and you can make anything you want, and you can make it look nice and expensive like it came from a store. Once it was kind of dry, I just pressed my hands down on it to kind of flatten everything because I want it to look like an old window. So here's the fabric again from Amazon, and here's that multi-purpose spray glue that I talked about and showed in the earlier part of this video. Going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to spray my cardboard heart down and put the fabric on top of it. I made a total of 3 hearts, and I did this while my window was drying. Now you can put your window in front of a fan to speed things up, or you can just let it air dry. While my hearts are drying, I go back to the frame and I give it a nice soft dry brush of gray paint from Apple Barrel. It doesn't matter what brand, any gray paint will work, but I'm just distressing it to make it look nice and old and weathered. I also decide that I want the doily in there, you guys. I love the doilies. So I cut out a heart that's a little bit bigger than the 3 hearts that had the fabric glued on it, and I go ahead and cover that with one of the Dollar Tree lace doilies. Once the fabric is dry, I'm just going to do the same thing that I did with the paper. I'm putting little slits around the edges. For those of you that sew, you know this trick. It just makes it a little bit easier to bend around those curves and those edges without so many wrinkles. I'm going to take one of my fabric hearts and glue it in the middle of the doily heart. So I want to check out and see what the lace ribbon looks like, and I decide to use that. So I'm going to put 3 of the Dollar Tree lace bows down on the hearts and then position them on top of my window and then glue them in place. I thought it would be fun to add some chicken wire behind this window as well for a different look if you wanted to. Even the Dollar Tree white wastebasket, that's that kind of crisscross kind, would look pretty behind this, but either way, it came up so beautiful. Let me know what you guys think. For this craft, I'm using some spare scrap wood that I have, but you can use a little bit of a Dollar Tree sign cut as well. Some stencils from the Dollar Tree and some Dollar Tree jute twine. Now I want the surface of this to look really cloudy and old again, so I'm going to kind of shy away from the water acrylic stain because that really soaks into the wood and grabs. This is a perfect opportunity for the wax, and I'm using wax here. I end up like squeezing the tip of the brush, I don't know if you can see that, to kind of scrub it on almost. I tried a rag, that didn't work so great. You could probably get away doing this with paint as well, and I'm thinking with paint you might want to try it with a rag. That might make it look, you get the right look. Definitely practice on some scrap, because if you're using a Dollar Tree sign, it might perform a little bit differently. On a Dollar Tree sign, I would actually recommend painting it a cream color and then doing this, not just directly on the back of a Dollar Tree sign. And then I'm just going to go ahead and put the hearts down, but I'm doing it really lightly with just a small drop of hot glue, because I have every intention of removing those hearts. They're just there temporarily. And you can see me stenciling on the word love. And then I'm going to take a sponge and just, again, softly, I'm going for a cloud look again. I want these hearts to be really rustic looking and kind of soft and floating up almost with that feeling of like the clouds. I can't think of another way to describe that. From, when you look at clouds, they kind of have that really soft edge that kind of fades a little bit. So that's what I'm trying to do. And you can see me scrubbing it off because I put a little bit too much on. By the way, the sponge, when you paint and you wipe it off with a sponge or scrub it off, you get a really neat cloudy look underneath too. So don't panic if you make a mistake and have to wipe it away. I found it actually added to the look, so it was no big deal. And now I'm going to go ahead and take off these little stickers. Now, it did remove some of the wax. Again, no big deal because the hot glue came right off the wood, so I just used a little bit more of the wax where those circles were and redid them, and everything came out great. And I'm doing it right here. You can see me doing it. I decide that it needs something a little extra here on the bottom, so I go ahead and I take the jute twine from the Dollar Tree and I'm going to do the wrap on the bottom, and I'm going to do it pretty generously so it's pretty heavy looking. I just thought that would look really, really cute. I didn't want it to be, just a little. You can do it however you want though, so because everybody's thickness, I don't know what scrap wood you're using. I don't know if you're using a Dollar Tree sign. So just go by eye with this and stop wrapping where you feel like it looks good. And then of course I'm just hot gluing it on the back to hold it together, and I'm using some more scrap wood here as a base. If you don't have scrap wood, the Dollar Tree little wooden towering blocks would work just fine. I am using some hot glue and some of these towering wood blocks on the back as a brace to hold this sign up. and I love how this came out. So some of you will remember this DIY here that a lot of you requested that I show you. It was my very first video, my very first DIY series. It did not make it to YouTube, and I still want to share these with you. I think they're great DIYs, so there's one coming up here, but please forgive me for the quality of the film here. It's not my best, but it's still a great instructional video, and I think you'll enjoy the DIY. So here I am with a Dollar Tree wooden heart. I use this a lot for a template, and I'm just tracing out some book pages here, and I'm going to cut out just tons and tons of hearts. I happen to be a really big fan of the book page crafts. I think they look so romantic. For this craft at the time, I actually thought it would be super cute if I could have found an old romance novel and used those pages, because I was making it for Valentine's Day, just, you know, to add some extra fun if somebody looks at it and starts reading the pages. But I didn't have that, unfortunately, but it still came up super cute, and you can use any pages you want from any book. And here's the Dollar Tree mop. I cut the middle part out because there were some hanging little points, and I try to make the surface as flat as possible, and then I take the mop string and glue it around in the center there to make a nice border. I'm going to go ahead and take the mop string and also make a bow. You'll see me do it here, and stick a bow on the bottom. I just thought that was a nice finishing touch, but this is what I ended up making, and I think it's super cute. Part 2 is my big beautiful orange beast named Thomas was absolutely in love with this craft from day one, and when I laid it on the floor in September 2020, he ate it. So the next craft, I'm going to show you what I end up doing with the leftover heart metal frame from the Dollar Tree. For this craft, I had some of those styrofoam fillings that came with some rice powder I had ordered, and I thought, you know, that would be really neat for a craft. I didn't know what I wanted to do with it, but I thought I had this leftover heart frame. I couldn't, you know, I didn't want to throw it away because it's perfectly good. In fact, this is one of those Dollar Tree items I think that if you can and when you can is really fun to change up, like make something, you know, if you enjoy crafting. If you want it for a permanent home decor, it's different, but if you enjoy the art of crafting and you relax doing it, it's a really fun piece to tear everything off and make something new every year. So Thomas gave me a chance to do that, and I end up taking this styrofoam and gluing it all over this wreath. I have never worked with this foam before crafting, so I did not know what to expect. I have painted on foam before, but this foam was almost a little shiny and more absorbent. So I took my wax and practiced on the back of it, thinking I could make it look like faux wood and give it some grain, and it just wasn't doing it. So I take Territorial Beige here from Apple Barrel Paint and I cover the whole thing, and this is what we end up with. And I take the wax and I do tap it on there to give it some dimension. It reminds me of a seaside village I went to. It was a resort, and there was this man there taking old driftwood. He had like a little mini drill, like what you use for acrylic nails, that barrel shape, and he was drilling top designs and grooves into the wood and making wreaths out of it in different shapes. He had circles, hearts. He would also do animals, and he did everything. But I thought, wow, it kind of looked like what he did, but I just felt it was a little too dark. I wasn't getting quite the look I wanted. I was looking at it thinking, this almost looks like, I don't know, brick. Anyway, so I ended up flocking it with a bit of white, and I was happy with that. That was matching more the theme of my decor for this year's Valentine's Day. And of course, it can be kept up all year round, you guys. I do keep these wreaths up all year round, and I have a perfect metal huge frame on my wall that's very heavy looking, and because the heart is heavy looking, I realized it's going to be staged really beautifully there all year. So I'm taking some of my scrap material. I took a razor blade, I'm scraping it along the edge. That's how I frame my material, and I love the Dollar Tree mop, you guys. I have loved it for a long time now. It pulls apart. It makes a great rustic accent piece, or oh my gosh, I can't even begin to name all the ways you can use the mop thread. I love the mop thread. If you're lucky enough to live by a Dollar Tree that sells those wood pieces, either in the cylinder shape or the little disc shape, that would make an excellent cover for this wreath form, as well as corks or little pieces of wood from outside. Just have fun and use your imagination. I would love to hear back from you guys what you think this looks like. I mean, I guess if I had purchased those wreaths from the guy at the seaside resort there, I would have had something very similar to this on my wall. It would have been a great conversational piece, that's for sure. But I think because it was so lightweight, but it looked heavy like stone or brick, it threw me. I told my husband I cannot wait to hear what all my YouTube friends have to say. For this craft, you're going to need a can. I'm using a coffee can because I have a lot of them, a heart shape of some kind, some scrap material, and some buttons or embellishments, whatever you want, some ribbon, just anything that you want to decorate with. I'm going to start by giving this a coat of a very neutral, soft, kind of creamy tan color here. This is I call it the boo-boo paint. I don't think that's the actual word for it. It's over in the Home Depot section when they do they have these little sample paints, and when people ask them to mix colors up, if they don't like the color, they leave it behind, and then they sell it for 50 cents, and it's about, I think, 4 times the amount of paint you get with the apple barrel paint for 50 cents. So it's a great deal. Keep your eye out for that. I've mentioned it in previous videos. Now you're going to take the heart shapes and you're going to hot glue them together, but you're going to leave a little opening because we're going to be stuffing these. You can see me using some polyfiberfill. I purchased the pillows from Walmart. They're about $3.79 where I live, and they come in the center bins. But you get a lot more polyfiberfill in the pillows than you do when you buy polyfiberfill from a fabric store, at least where I live. So get the cheapest deal you can get. You can also just use cotton balls pulled apart as well. That would be just fine, and those are usually really accessible for most people. So use a cotton ball pulled apart. You want to pull it apart though so it's not too lumpy. You want to really make it wispy. That's the trick there, to make it nice and smooth. You're putting in little tiny bits at a time. And now I'm just decorating them and making them look really, really cute. So you're going to see what I do here. I'm using the Dollar Tree ribbon. I love to cut this ribbon in half. One, because it looks, if you're making small things, it fits better. And two, the edges tend to fray when you work with it and touch it, and it makes it look more rustic and distressed, you know, that look that I'm going for, that vintage look where things look a little ratty-tatty like they've been around for a while. So you can see it there on the edges. It's already starting to fray a bit. I just love that look. If you don't, you can leave it intact and, you know, one piece, but I love that look. And what you see me tying on there is some mop thread. I pull the mop thread apart. I get the little individual yarn strands, and I love those as well. I think they're really, they kind of have a natural curl to them, a wave, and they also are very fuzzy looking, so I just love that look for what I'm going for. And I'm just using some spare buttons that I have. I showed you the Dollar Tree buttons because you can paint those, but I have a lot of spare buttons that I'm probably never going to use, you know, I'm never going to use them. So I decided to go ahead and use them for this craft and just decorate them. And then I'm going to go ahead and take the water-based stain this time and stain these little hearts and make them look, you know, rustic and primitive and match the rest of my home decor. And that's what we have when I'm all done. Now back to the coffee can here. I love these Dollar Tree lace doilies. I've had a thing for paper lace doilies since I was a little girl. I just think they're so pretty. I've always wanted to craft with them, but I never really knew what to do, so I'm really trying to make an effort here. I do have to cut it down a little smaller because it's not going to fit on the top, you know, the outside of the coffee can. It was a little bit too big. And I take some more of that paper I bought from Amazon. It's age paper. This is the striped sheet out of that pack. That's below my description box as well if you want to see what I bought. And now I'm just using my finger to apply the Mod Podge. I do use my fingers a lot in crafting, you guys. It just helps me. Sometimes I can't get the look I want with a brush, and I feel like I have more control with my fingers. Let me know how many of you guys do that too. But I get asked a lot how I get things down in the grooves with cans, and I do it with a sponge. I dab it gently while it's wet. Make sure there's not excessive Mod Podge on your sponge when you're doing that, because you'll risk lifting the paper because it gets too sticky, and you'll risk lifting it and tearing it. But if you use a clean sponge and you dab gently and you're patient, you'll get the results that you're after. And now I'm taking some spare plastic bags and some old moss that used to be really green, but it's actually going brown, which is what I wanted, and some absolutely beautiful lamb's ear I got at Hobby Lobby. It was $10 for 6 feet. It was on sale, a garland. I bought 3 of them. They're gorgeous. It's like the perfect lamb's ear. And I'm using that on the top, and I'm just taking a skewer from the Dollar Tree and poking the material. It's super easy to do because, you know, the end of those skewers are sharp. And I've made a little heart garden, you guys. It's so cute. Let me know what you think, but I absolutely love this. If you enjoyed today's video and had fun, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. It really does help my channel, and I appreciate it so much. I love you guys. And until the next video, breathe deep, fret not, and do things that make you happy.